friends, and a pleasant good evening. Welcome to Lions Live, the broadcast here at State College, Pennsylvania, WBLF, Y106, and syndicates out there. Thanks for joining us. We're also live out here streaming on the web here at check us out on Google Plus, Google Hangouts. We'll also be streaming on our website. So looking forward to a great night of football here. Great weather here at State College. Probably one of the last few days we're actually going to be able to catch some of it. Up to 70s today, and a great day for practice. You remember what that's like out there, Greg. Greg Johnson, Skip Drawlis here, bringing the best of Penn State past, talking about the present here, looking for a great future of Penn State football here. Great weekend this past weekend. Greg was up there on the sidelines. He survived the whole ordeal up there. What a game, Greg. What do you think? Where do we start with this one?
I'll start with a big old smile. There's supposedly no such thing as a moral victory. But in this case, I think there's a little bit of a morality to take away from this one, considering the referees absolutely did not do us any favors whatsoever. We finally saw this team really put together a really strong second half on both sides of the ball. We almost slayed the dragon, man. We almost walked down a big guy that we weren't supposed to be in the ball game with. So I think there's a lot of great things to take from the game. The fans were absolutely phenomenal. I tell you what, man. You look around like the middle of the third quarter, and I swear you would have thought that you were back in 2005 when Tom Ali got that huge sack on Troy Smith. I mean, that atmosphere was just the exact same. So it was a great day. You're talking about great weather all day. So people were able to get around without freezing to death. And so it was good, man. It was a great day. Great day.
Well, those days are soon coming here, and when they were talking to here, man, I was thinking about you to death. Man, this is Greg's type of weather. This is his winter. And we're like, man, this is just like a great summer day for us. So
yes, indeed.
But this game totally blew me away, and we did pick Penn State to lose, man, but I thought it was going to be a lot worse. And where do we go with this? Did Penn State rise up? Did Ohio State slump down? It could be a combination of any of the above. But, look, time of possession here. Ohio State did get almost another full 10 minutes of time of possession on us, which says a lot. But, Penn State, I think, really fought out a tough game here this weekend. I think that, we were talking a little bit before the show started, you talked about how the coaching staff just was able to push the right buttons, get the right people at the right places, make the right calls at the right time in a game that was really essential to us like this.
Yeah, I think something that we did, a great adjustment that we made at halftime. Initially, we were getting gashed by the quarterback draw, and they went in at halftime and were able to shore that up, play Hull a little closer to the center of the field. And then we, kept Amos close to the line of scrimmage and shut down that quarterback run, because he was doing a great job of riding that option down and pulling and turning it up. He was doing a heck of a job. He was gashing us, and they figured out how to didn't necessarily stop it, but they slowed it up tremendously. So I think that was a huge turning point in the second half of the game for us.
Yeah, it did seem to be the turnaround there. But you notice when we got to the overtime, what surprised me again, I was like, it was like this game just started all over again, and they were back up to the same thing. And it seems like they all of a sudden forgot what they were doing, what was winning them, beating them in the second half.
Yeah. I think that Urban Meyer decided that he was going to play it a little safe and maybe do a little bit of playing it to keep from losing instead of playing to win. But I also think that, and we all picked Ohio State to win that game, but, at the same time, that team is absolutely not the same without Braxton Miller. Braxton Miller is, as much as you see him in your nightmares, that kid is a phenomenal athlete, and he's a kid that can make a whole lot of nothing look like something incredible. So, the Barrett kid is really good. It's going to be very interesting to see how Urban Meyer plays that when Braxton Miller comes back next year. The kid is a good ball player, but he's just not a Braxton Miller. Braxton Miller has amazed me, and he's kind of the engine that makes that thing go. But yeah, so you look at we're in the ball game at halftime, even though we're down by 17. We get a couple of jobs by the referees, and we shoot ourselves in the foot a couple of times. So those kids obviously realize we're where we are not because of our own doing, for the most part. So they came out in the second half, man, and just absolutely put it all together.
Right. Well, I was checking out Coach Franklin's comments here defensively, and he scored the defense at a 91% pursuit grade, which says a lot. I think that's what helped contain Ohio State, because these guys were actually following through and getting good lanes to pursue whoever had the ball and following up after the play.
Yep, absolutely. They were all over the field, man. They were you can't. I guess we probably shouldn't think about trying to start this show without talking about Mike Hull. I mean, what more could you ask of that kid, man? He puts up 19 tackles, interception, 2.5, 3 tackles for loss. He was working sideline to sideline, and it was that was a sight to see, man. When you actually are down on the sideline watching that kid play sideline to sideline, he reminded me of Mike Mowdy. He reminded me of Navarro. Even LeVar back in the day. I mean, the kid's motor was just Paul Puzlesny. Just kid's motor was just incredible. Excuse me. I'll tell you who else had a great game, and he's finally starting to kind of put that thing back together and get back to where he once was. Is Deion Barnes. Deion Barnes had a heck of a game. He made he actually Olenian as well, but Deion Barnes made tackles from behind. He fought. He stood up at their tackle. It did a heck of a job. But Mike Hull I'm actually very disappointed that he was left off the bucket list. I can't believe the number one tackler in a top 3 conference isn't on the bucket list. He's number 6 in the country in tackle and left off the list. I don't understand it. I think if we can be very honest for a moment, it just seems, man, that there's a fraction of people that just do not want us to get back to where we have been, and they're putting forth effort to do that. And I don't understand that.
Well, you'll see that, but it was like it was like he had a whole bunch of Red Bull all game long flowing through his veins, man.
He was like a little pinball machine, man. He was everywhere.
Yeah, just flying over the field, man. And I'll tell you, he had a game high of 19 tackles, and we need more guys like that. Keep coaching them, keep bringing them on, Coach. I mean, these are the type of guys we want to have, and I think he's going to be great to have a guy like that. So what else can you say? Be honest with you, Greg, I'll tell you that the first half, I didn't really want to have anything to do with the second half, man. I thought, man, this game is going to go ugly, and it's going to get a lot worse a lot fast. But on the sidelines there, what was the sentiment? Coming when they went into the half, you see the guys going in. What did the guys seem dejected or rejected from the sidelines, or did they seem upbeat, or what was the general attitude from that to when they came back out on the field?
Absolutely not, because we actually, some of the guys on the sideline actually spoke about that, about how they went into the locker room with their heads up. They realized obviously they were still in that ball game. The reason that they were 17 points down was, again, a couple of things that other people did to make sure we didn't score, and a couple of things that they did themselves to keep themselves from being successful. They went in the locker room, man, with a very positive attitude. There was a lot of energy while they were walking through that tunnel. They came out the exact same way. I tell you what, man, I think that our coaching staff is just like anything else, man. Those guys, it's not their first year together, but it's their first year here. It's first year in the conference. So they've been putting it together. And I tell you what, they coached a heck of a game Saturday night, but they also did a heck of a job preparing those kids last week during the bye week, because they put together a plan that would minimize Ohio State's opportunities. you look at what we did. We held them to half of what they're used to putting up in total yards. We held them to a third of what they're used to putting up as far as score is concerned. Our defense did a heck of a job. We still have got to get to that place where we're able to put together 4 solid quarters of offensive football. But but the great part about that is, obviously we have, in my opinion, and of course I'm a little biased, but we obviously have the best fourth quarter comeback quarterback in the country. Because this kid, man, I tell you what, we also talked about several guys after the game. I think a very effective offense for Hackenberg would be a consistent 2-minute hurry-up offense, or as O'Brien called it, NASCAR offense. Because you look at how well that kid excels in that up-pace, up-tempo offense. You look at all the fourth quarter comebacks that he's put together. The kid does not sweat. You cannot shake him. You cannot rattle him. He got hit. He got his helmet pulled off. They tried everything they could, and this kid still moved us right down the field when we needed to get some points. So, my thinking is, at least 2/3 of the game, hey man, play the hurry up, because it's obvious that we're at a disadvantage, lining up man for man on the offensive line. So, let's do the hurry up so that defenses can't make adjustments. They can't substitute based on formations, things like that. The kid is really excelled at that. So, and he's frustrated, and I totally understand being frustrated. I think anybody in their right mind, anybody that cares about their team's success and knows that they take a big part in it would be frustrated. But I tell you what, we've got something special, man. And I just, we all talked about it. We all thought, hey, this kid would probably just absolutely just run through it in that hurry up offense. Because you look what he did last year with O'Brien, and in a lot of cases, O'Brien used that NASCAR offense, during the course of the first 3 quarters, and not just when he needed it at the end of the game. And the kid excelled. So, but they were very positive, and it's obvious because they came out of the locker room positive. They came out of the locker room to make a statement, and the defense was flying all over the field. I mean, to a man, all 11 of them were getting to the ball. They were chasing things down from the backside. They were they were having a good time, man. And that crowd was a humongous disadvantage for Ohio State. They were so confused, man, and couldn't hear each other. It was hilarious. It was absolutely funny to see what our fans were doing to those guys. It was comical.
Right. Well, with Christian Hackenberg like that, and I think as he adjusts, again, here you're asking a kid to come out of high school, start at a major school like Penn State under a coach O'Brien, now shifting to a new coach, a new offensive scheme, totally different plays. This guy's a brilliant kid. I mean, you got to have brains to be a quarterback like that, and I think as he just gets to know everything better, and with the hurry up type of offensive style, I think it gives him an opportunity to be able to adjust a little bit more, which I think that's where he does best. When he can line up and he can see what's going on, he can audible. I think he's that type of a quarterback that'll do well like that. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of a Manning, because Manning will get up there and will adjust things, and he gets the job done. And I see qualities of the brain housing group working like that with him, and I think that's where he does excel the most. No doubt about it.
Agreed.
But my biggest concern too was also at the end of the game, the very last play, I was really concerned about him having his knee blown out, because if you notice the way he came down, I thought his knee was gone. And fortunately, he seems, from all reports, he's doing okay. But we did suffer a big loss there. Zach Zwinnick's done for the season, and so's Ryan Kaiser. And it's tough for those guys being, especially for Zach being a senior. On a kickoff of all things, I tried to watch and look and see the play. They didn't. I couldn't get a view of what really happened, but my guess, from all indications, it's not just a sprain when they cart you off the field. It is obviously something much, much more severe. I could tell it involved the ankle. We've seen a lot of. Go ahead.
Couple of comments. One, Hackenberg's fine. I actually was at tailgate with his dad, and he came by after the game. So he's fine. He's healthy. He's good there. And secondly, you couldn't tell what happened on TV because obviously nobody could, including the referees.
Well,
But
yeah, no doubt.
but thirdly, um, Zach Zwinek has a broken ankle, and
Yep.
he's done for the season. It happened on the opposite side of the field from us, so we didn't see it during the play. But they showed the replay, and it was he got rolled up on pretty bad. But he's
Oh,
done for the season. Ryan Kaiser is Coach Franklin in his press conference today corrected some things. The rumor was that he was in intensive care and
right.
yada yada yada, but he's not. He's fine. He's had surgery. He's not in intensive care. They're trying to clean up an infection. He ended up having a broken rib, and it cut into his bowel. So
Wow.
they had to do a surgery. Yeah, but all indications is that he's going to be fine. So we're healthy, and as in total, just got those guys out. And I tell you what, that both guys are going to be tough to lose because they're both seniors, both leaders. Kaiser, of course, a little bit more because he kind of like the quarterback in the secondary. So that's going to be tough. But two things. One, you look at us being the second youngest team in the country, and you look at the way that their replacements performed on Saturday night, and very well that while we're going to miss those guys, the next man up philosophy is going to be okay because that Marcus Allen kid, the freshman free safety, played a heck of a ball game. We were all kind of on the sideline concerned about him because he was trying to hit anything moving and he hit at full speed. And we're thinking, man, this kid's going to knock himself out because he was trying to lay the wood on anything moving, including his own teammates. But
Wow.
the second part of that is, we've been for 2 years now. We've all been wondering why Akil Lynch is not playing. But you look at what he did, and then probably midway in the third quarter, Franklin went exclusively with him, and he's got that combination with our offensive line being challenged like it is. A running back that goes east and west isn't going to get any penetration. A running back that is slower hitting the hole, like Zwinak, is going to miss a hole if it's there at all. Well, Akil is that tweener guy that can do both of those things. And you look at what the kid has done. Every time he touches the ball, it seems like he's making progress. So he did a heck of a job. And obviously with Zwinak out, we're going to be seeing a lot more of him. So that'll be interesting to see how things work out with him. And and of course the rumor is that his limited playing time has been because of his lack of being able to perform in blitz pickup. But I'm kind of that guy that says, hey, if you got a kid that's that talented when it comes to running the ball, and but he has an issue with blitz pickup, then it's really okay to play him situationally. But he needs to touch the ball 15 times, and if they know that every time he's in the game he's going to touch the ball, okay. But he needs to touch the ball 15 times.
Well,
So,
I'd agree with you that, and you're hitting towards a key number because Akil had 13 carries for 38 yards, averaging 2.9 yards along of 9 on Saturday. So you're right. You got to get that threshold of number of runs out there to be able to force the defense to try to play up for it so we can, helps work the pass game.
yeah, I tell you what, the other part of that too, and a lot of people don't understand how much the run game affects things. When you're not able to run the ball, teams can stack their safeties, which means that the tight ends, the middle of the field isn't open. That area right around the linebackers isn't open because the safeties are able to play closer up to the line of scrimmage because they know you're not going to be able to run the ball. Well, so our tight ends can't find seams, they can't find holes. So the run game actually opens up so many things, and we've got those awesome tight ends, man, that, we haven't really been able to utilize. And I don't think it's, by design. I think it's, the fact that, we just can't open up the center of the field because we can't run the ball. There's no coach in the world, man, that'll have the tight ends that we have and not use them. So it's got to be a function of of just the run game. Run game, just that run game really affects a lot of things.
Yep, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost halfway through the fastest hour in college football talk here. So you're listening to Lions Live on the Forever Lions Network. Greg Johnson, my name's Skip Drybelbis. We'll be right back after these messages.
Keep up with what's trending.
All right, buddy, we're into a break.
All right.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I don't mean it that way. Please forgive me. I certainly didn't mean it that way. I appreciate your knowledge of how to do it. I'm just hungry to learn. That's why I'm just trying to watch. When I see you push different buttons, I'm trying to learn. You know, the whole point. The whole point. I can learn without the shot. I get that. Why would I say the whole point is I could do something wrong. I'm the type of person I do the same thing. I look at you. Yeah. And I learn that way. But the whole point is if you want me to tell my hey, you want to, because I can do that. When I have my own show, I work my own board and things like that. I do understand what you're saying. But I'm just saying that that's the only thing that's everything, right? I'm going to teach you, right? I'll ask you if you feel like you do it. Yeah, I can't bring up these kind of showing me that that's going on. I try to make it easier for you, so that way when you come in here, I got him on the phone. I don't want to feel like you don't want to. I do want it. I'm trying to learn it. I couldn't do it, man. So I tried to take it on my own this time, so I got the phone working. I got them dialed in, but I know how to do it. But again, I've been trying to make it easier so when you come in, you know what buttons to push to make it so it's not I know. All this is not fairness, I'm not to do it all. But I'm just saying, like, if you personally, I do get that. If you personally like your own space, you operate and everything. I get that because that does make you feel more like, I don't know, because you know when you want to stop, when you want to start, how you want to breathe. You know what I mean? So I do this. So what I can do is I can make it a function of that page. If possible, we have to see how to run it, or you would like to do that. So because I'm actually really want to do it. I don't know. It's my concern. We're not always going to be right. Well, I mean, you can on that ladder and stuff like that, and be like, what are they doing? I don't know how it's going to go. Right. If they're going to have us doing anything, if it says we're going to have us get coming back online now. Oh, here we go.
And we're back here. You're listening to Lions Live. We're not a podcast. We're not something that's pre-recorded to get days later. You're listening to the only network built by the players for you, the fans. Greg Johnson, my name's Skip Drybelbis, talking Penn State football here. What makes Lions Live unique and is that it's the only network out there built by the players for you, the fans. So you only have players here talking Penn State football. You know, we're not sports writers. We're not broadcast specialists like the gentleman I have behind me back here. Right here. This is the man here, folks, because we could not do this without this gentleman here. And is your mic live?
No.
Oh, what do I get? Oh, you don't want Julian. You got to say some words here, man. You're famous. I let everybody know who you are. What are we gonna do to bring you on here? No, Julian. Listen, it's really important that you folks understand this. That we could not do this show here without Julian being here. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, Greg and I, we played some football, but Julian is a highly trained broadcast specialist. And if you're watching live online, you're going to see him here. And I've been kind of trying to learn this as I go here, but because I'm a knucklehead, I don't know anything like it. But Julian's making us all happen here, folks. So we really appreciate his work here. And Julian, because we're going to get back to football in a second, but Julian is actually has been doing sports talk for some time now,
Yes,
where he
sir.
not only talks, but he does all the buttons. So we really appreciate him. How about it, Greg?
Hey, man, I love me some Julian.
He does make it happen. That's
Definitely appreciate it. I enjoyed the show. Like I said, football is my favorite sport of all. So anything about football, I'm in it.
That's cool. Now,
Of course, it's your favorite sport, Julian. It's the only sport.
Exactly.
Well, he does basketball. He's telling me about doing his basketball. You're looking to have him do it. Right?
I'm the only sport.
Oh yeah, no, indeed. I mean, when it comes to if you had to eliminate all the sports and you only could choose one, I honestly 100% football, just 24/7. Now, when it comes to playing myself, I do specialize not only in football but basketball. Those are my two main sports. Even though I've dipped and dabbed in a lot of different sports, and recent, as coming up, I even have some tryouts going on. If you remember and I don't know if you know 50 from N1 basketball when it was popular. He's throwing a camp for professional basketball players. So I'm actually going to enter that soon, as well as some radio show things. And even last year I tried out for arena football with the Pittsburgh Power. But they had like 50 wide receivers. So I mean, there was Lynn Swan was there and things like that. So I got to meet some cool people.
That's really neat. And they actually had Lynn Swan out there for that.
Oh yeah, he's actually. I'm not sure if he's a full owner, but he's like a part owner of this team as well.
Organization. That's really
correct.
Cool. You know what I miss, Greg, is seeing Swanee on the sidelines doing football, because as a kid growing up, I was a diehard Steeler fan. I grew up around here, and as in my early. Before I got my teens, the Steelers were winning Super Bowls, and I remember having my '88 jersey myself, backyard ball, playing football, Lynn Swan, and it was so cool all these years later to come back and actually meet him on the sidelines and say, Mr. Swan, this is back, I think he was making a run for governor, and it was right before he ran for governor. He was still doing the football. And it was so great to actually meet him and say, no, you really helped inspire me to pursue excellence on the field here, and by God's grace, I was able to be up at Penn State myself, and I kind of miss him being on the sidelines like that. Did you get a chance to talk to him?
Briefly, to be honest.
You know what? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was yeah, we're just briefly, really honest. Because we're doing tryouts, so I couldn't, go extend it with him. But it was cool just to talk to him and being around his environment. But he actually comes off as a pretty cordial guy and pretty nice. So it was nice to see, because sometimes because he's a big star. Sometimes when you're really big, it's hard for them to become grounded. So I was very. It was nice to speak with him.
Well, he got my vote when he was running for governor. I guarantee you. I voted for him. I was all about him getting in there instead of Fast Eddie, but we all suffered through that for a long time. But
and remember, he used to do ABC Sports.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that was great.
Fellas. So here's a caveat to that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, Julian, you need to hurry up and make your way to the big time, man, because we need more football knowledgeable people, sideline reporting, things like that. We somehow got to that place where they're putting a lot of people on the sideline to do sideline reporting that don't really know football.
That's very true.
And we need guys like Swanee to come back, and everybody grows in their experience and things like that. But we need people on the sidelines talking about football that know football and know it from the inside because they played it, they've lived it, and so. I'll say to you, Julian, hey, man, hurry up and, gain all the expertise you can so you can get down there, man, and make watching football worth it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. And you already know when doors swing open, I'll be quick to run through them. So we'll see.
Just don't get sacked, man. But, no, you made a great point, Greg, because and that's what makes Lions Live unlike any other program out there in college football right now, because this program was started by the players for the fans, to give them a unique perspective, to hear what it was like going through, training, playing, the conversations you get from the locker room to the sidelines, those conversations and things, and the dynamics of college sports, people never really got to hear from. I mean, they hear they have the broadcast journalist majors, they have the people who are on Talk Sports, for papers and stuff like that, but these guys here, they maybe have the academics of it, they never played it, and I think that's what makes at least us athletes appreciate it a lot more. Like when he talked about Swanee being in the sidelines, is we're hearing it from the guys who played. So when we get those comments, and I think a lot of the networks realize that they still have their specialty people in there who specialize in broadcast journalism, and And that's what they do, and they're the ones kind of anchoring things. But what fans I think really appreciate more is getting it right from the players. They can hear those conversations like they normally would have never hear. And I think that's what makes it special. And I'm with you on that one. I hope they bring Swanee back out of retirement if he is retired. I don't know if he is, but I hope not. I'd love to see him on the sidelines.
I'm sure he's somewhere making a lot more money.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no doubt. And
he's probably not retired. He's probably somewhere just making a whole lot more money.
Well, that pension from the NFL, I'm sure, does him just fine after winning some Super Bowls. So those guys do pretty good at the end of that. Boy, we could go off in a million one directions with this one because the average NFL career these days is under 3 years, and you notice the way they always negotiate these contracts with the league, that the league always try to put that threshold at such a point where it's just almost unattainable for the average guy to give up his life to go out there, be at risk, play the sport, and get nothing at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and that has to change. Yeah, that has to change. I think the moment you are drafted, you're taken by a team, you get a contract. I think you should be able to get something from that, and the longer you go, the more your paycheck increases throughout your lifetime. But, fair is fair. I mean, we're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars here. And again, I appreciate the NFL, but, we need some competition here, man. I mean, where's the antitrust? We need to open up some stuff here and start giving to the guys who make the money or who actually make the game to what it is that brings in the money. Because right now, again, I know you need to have owners of franchises and teams and you got this league, but all this money out there, man. I mean, we know guys who we played with, who are disabled, who can't get around, who've had surgeries, who got to get surgeries. And this is the collegiate level. And what about the NFL level? We all know that this is headed down that road to the point where something's got to be given back to the athletes who bring in the money to these schools. Now, I know that's a tough subject. And you know what? We got some time. If you want to, I'll scratch the surface on it here. If you guys want to give any thoughts or comment.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm of the belief that, when we were there, Skip, I guess our stadium seated 87,000.
Right.
It was always funny to me how people that did not play football or sports or football in particular would always say, you're lucky you guys are getting a free education, yada, yada, yada. Well, my response to them was pretty basic. I don't consider waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go work out and coming back to my place at 11 o'clock after study hall, free. I'm thinking I'm working 3 times harder than you're working being in school.
And that's what it was 7 days a week.
Yeah,
that wasn't when you guys then
exactly. There was no 20-hour rule, a 20-hour a day a week rule.
No.
But I the NCAA has changed some rules, to try to get some relief. One of the rules, and I'll just be honest with you, and I think it's a joke, is making college athletes eligible to work during their season. That's I don't care if you minimize football related activities to 10 hours, you're still not going to be able to work. That's amazing. And I don't think that you need to get into a bidding war and paying kids on a sliding scale. I think that because you and I both played with guys that whether they were from the inner city or whether they were from the rural areas, we played with guys that just didn't have much. And Paterno, I was telling somebody over the weekend, Paterno mandated that we travel in a suit and tie. Well, you and I both know guys that came to school without suits or ties.
Right.
So, that's a tough situation. And then Joe's not going to break a rule because he never did. So he wasn't going to buy a kid a suit. That's just really tough. I think that, if you want kids to feel like they're a part of the student society and student population, you need to give them, $300-400 a month so that they can, buy their toiletries and, take a girl out on a date, be able to buy a pair of underwear, you just, especially when when these kids are putting 107,000 people in a stadium and they're through the course of their careers are seeing their number walk around on campus either during the week or on Saturdays, and there's no return on that. And I don't think it should be a big business, but I think a kid getting $300-400 a month is a good thing. I don't think you need to go any higher than that, because at that point you're creating issues. But just give the kid enough money to live off of for the month. And I don't think that's with all the money that they're making. I don't think that's a problem. You look at Nike contracts, you look at coaches' contracts. So I'm just reading last night that Alabama's Alumni Association paid off Nick Saban's $3.1 million house. Well, if that can happen, I'm of the belief, being that he's making $7 million a year and has been for a while, that he probably doesn't need help paying his mortgage. So those kind of dollars can go back into the program, to support these kids. Skip, I don't know if you remember our freshman year in '84. We had a couple of teammates that died in a car accident, and the NCAA would not let Joe rent buses to take us to the funeral.
Wow. And
things like that, to me, are just outlandish. Those are the kinds of things that I think there should be a fund for. I know now they've kind of relaxed that rule a little bit, but there are just so many NCAA rules that make absolutely no sense. They're archaic, and not giving a kid money to help get through the school year, it doesn't make sense to me. I remember, for travel money for us, Julian, this is way before you were even thought of. We got like $13 on Saturday if we were traveling. And back then they didn't even have a dollar menu, so it just didn't do a whole lot.
I was going to say, it might be tough to get a toothbrush.
Working as hard as they are and committing as much time as they are, I think that there should be some type of help. And I would tend to say that in a lot of ways that will probably cut down some of the illegal stuff that's going on. I.e. stealing crab legs, things like that. That'll cut down. That won't cut that one down. That was just an idiotic mistake.
Indeed.
Oh, man.
But it'll cut down on some of those things, man. The after the game handshakes, kids selling tickets. If you want to minimize or eliminate some of that stuff, then you got to help these kids out, man. You have to.
Well, I definitely agree. I mean, even
in my opinion, it's only fair.
Even if you just
There's a lot of money being generated for these schools, and especially now that the Big Five conference has kind of set themselves aside from everyone else, you got to help these kids out, man. You absolutely need to help them out, especially when you know the situation and the conditions that you're bringing them from.
Right.
If you got to commit to taking care of people's kids, then that's what you need to do.
Now, I'm pretty sure you might remember the Fab Five. I mean, they, man.
Yeah, man, they all took a pay cut when they went to the NBA.
Oh yeah, I mean, they brought in so much buco money for Michigan during that time period. It's ridiculous. So
absolutely,
it's not even talking about stipends even now. It should have already been put in place. But the fact that the subject's been brought up a lot, with the NCAA and schools and things like that, I definitely at this point believe that student athletes should definitely get a stipend to at least eat. Like you said, with the crab legs, and we already know who that is, and things like that. It's even if a guy has a date, it might be tough for him to even take a date out, just because of the fact of she might have to support him, and that might be frustrating because he looks so big. On TV and getting all that attention. But at the end of the day, unless you're actually guaranteed to get into the league, which a lot of student athletes become, things of what their major was, and might not even become a professional athlete. It's going to be tough.
Right.
Yep,
absolutely. Well, let me tell you what's frustrating. Let me tell you what's frustrating. What's frustrating is you having to dress out of someone else's closet. You have to wear a suit on Friday to travel in. You don't have one, so you've got to dress out of one of your teammates' closet. It didn't happen to me, but I can only imagine what the couple of people that I know had to go that route. I can only imagine what they felt on the inside. That really does not breed self-confidence. And we were raised by a coach that was not going to break a rule, regardless of what the situation was. He just wasn't going to. And of course, that's what we all admire about it. But, if the NCAA would have said, hey, you can do this, he would have done it in a heartbeat. The problem is the NCAA was absolutely just, it made no sense. But I mean, you're talking about, part of your job as a coach is to raise these kids up, to be confident, to be self-sufficient, self-supportive, and know that they always have a shot at it. Well, it's kind of hard to do that when you're wearing somebody else's shoes,
Mm-hmm. And that's quite literally wearing somebody else's shoes, And I'm not going to mention a name, but I remember one of the funniest situations I saw back at back when I was at Penn State. And again, I know people want to hear about the stuff we're doing now, but this is the reality of what we're dealing with here in college sports. As a friend of ours who was drafted by Atlanta, went on to New England and played for the Steelers also. And I'm going to mention his name. He always called me Dribbles. And I was coming in and I see him with this big garbage bag, man. And I'm like, and I see him going to the bathroom. Next thing you know, man, he's raiding toilet paper and paper towels and he's coming out with toiletries, because, and he comes out and he goes, I was like, man, what are you doing? And he's like, hard times, Dribbles, hard times. Every time I see him, he comes back, we always get a good laugh. But, it was hard times. I mean, these guys couldn't even get toilet paper, man. It was so bad. And it was, but the fans out there don't realize, things have changed a little bit. Yeah. But much. And when we went to the bowl game, man, we thought we were rich when they gave us our per diem money for that. Man, we got a big check. We're like, whoa, man, we thought rich. But, that's next to nothing today for these kids. And you mentioned $300 a month. That's really nothing. I mean, if you want to go out to get a meal for yourself, you're spending $20, period, just for yourself. And these kids they deserve a lot better. And I've had some conversations here, mostly by Facebook back and forth. Nobody can read that though. But Pete Kirkendall and Dan Morgan and I were texting, talking back and forth. We're all about wanting to get rid of the NCAA, man. I mean, it's got to go away. I mean, all this money needs to an organization that's never been audited. It's been around way too long, over 100 years. It's time for it to go away. Because what we can do, if this organization is to police the sports, to make sure everybody's playing by the rules, I think the schools can do it themselves. All we need to do.
Well,
go ahead.
If you know why the organization has never been audited?
It doesn't want audited, man, because there's too much dirty laundry in it, man.
Because it's nonprofit.
right, yeah, nonprofit. Tell me about it.
Can you believe that the NCAA is considered a nonprofit, not-for-profit organization?
Well, that's as bad as the PIAA here in Pennsylvania, and I actually started a petition online to have the PIAA audited because of the same type of silliness going on with those jokers down there. It's all private, it's all closed, nobody can take a look and see. And my argument with that one was, look, you're dealing with public money that's dealing, and you're providing officiating in public schools with public taxpayer dollars. You got to open it up to everybody, and if you can't be above board and open and honest about it, it's time to go away. Turn this over to the Department of Ed anyways. Let them handle it and let it go. Let all athletics go through athletic departments. But the way to do this, and it's really simple, is send out an email, a fax, or a letter to all the colleges and universities and have a conference that's put together and say, we're here to leave the NCAA and form our own group, our own association, and yes, nonprofit, of course. but the beauty of it is let the schools police themselves. They create their own bylaws, they set their own guidelines, and then they create within it checks and balances. So you don't have extremes. So when we know, they write out the thresholds of what penalties are. So if somebody does it, they know what they're going to get. We don't have to kind of impose something upon one person for one thing, and somebody else does the same thing, and it's totally different, like the silliness we see happening here at Penn State. There's no sanity and nothing reasonable about what went on here at Penn State whatsoever. You get a few jokers in there who have their own prejudices, and they take it out on somebody they don't like. And it's not right. It's got to. So what you do is you put an end to it that way. And then you talk about the money. Well, then it goes back to the schools, who should go to anyways. And then the schools, then they can create the guidelines where kids coming in a scholarship, they give them a reasonable amount of money to live while they're on campus. Yes, they get their 3 hots and a cot and stuff like that, and they get their classes. But, again, people don't realize from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, 7 days a week, at least when we're there, 7 days a week and then some, your life is planned out for you. That's that plain and simple. There's no such thing as free time. Now, at least they do have a change now where you do have 1 day off. Penn State now gives the guys off on Monday. They actually come in on Sunday and work out. And that's changed a little bit. But, it's become a little bit more reasonable. But, these things got to change. And the only way to do this is you can't reform an organization that's been around. It's so entrenched for 100 years. It just has to go away, period.
Yeah. Agreed.
No, I definitely agree as well.
It's going to take it's not the way things are going for the NCAA right now. It might not take a huge bunch of momentum like it would before, because they kind of like that rabbit in the crosshairs of the hunter, or they are on the run.
Well, we need some guys with shotguns out there to make sure it don't miss. I'm not talking like a little 22, you plunk the thing, man. I'm talking you get a shotgun, you blow it away. And what we need to do is get some people who have the wherewithal and leadership skills, people who can formulate and put something together to actually make this happen. And us guys, we have all these conversations about it, but it'd be great to see somebody in a position where they can actually put something together like this, and it would be great to see it happen. Now, I know what will happen, because when you're dealing with an organization that has as much money and power as they do, it's gonna be a long, ugly, slow death, and they're gonna throw all they can at it to try to stop it from happening. But I tell you, folks, it has to happen. We can't go on like this anymore. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to appease people here. They're trying to downplay the things going on now, because they know they're in the crosshairs. But we got to keep them in there and not let them out of it, and finally get to the point where we can actually blow them away and be done with it.
Yeah,
I agree. We'll see what happens.
Hopefully, there's going to come a change.
It has to happen. It has to happen. Well, again, the fact we really digress here, but I think we've covered Ohio State rather well. I mean, there's not a whole lot else to say here. We have the statistics and the numbers from last week. Looking ahead here in our waning moments here of this evening's broadcast. When we look ahead here to our future schedule, Greg, and the weeks ahead, what do you foresee happening with the Penn State football team?
I think, quite honestly, that Saturday's game probably gave them a ton of confidence to know that that they can compete at a high level. I tell you what I think the biggest thing that gave them confidence is as much as the offensive line has been dogged by everybody in the world, and they are hardly correct. The last came with Wendy Laurent at center, Mangiero out at tackle, and the other kid, the starting right tackle, moved over to left tackle. So, you're talking about as makeshift can be, but still you're able to do well enough to be able to put yourself in a position to win that game. So I think this game is going to cause them such phenomenal confidence that, I first of all think that the next four we should be favored in all four, and we should win all next four. And Michigan State, in my opinion, is a little better than Ohio State. But after the way we played, those kids got to know that they got a shot. They got a shot at it. So I think that, coming out of that game, man, with that atmosphere, those kids know that they can succeed. And we've got Michigan State at home. Unfortunately, it's going to be Thanksgiving, during the Thanksgiving holiday. So, I don't know if they'll get 107, but they're going to get a ton of people. They're going to get a ton of support. And I think those guys will be fine. And I'm looking forward to going to a bowl game. I'm looking forward to that 2-3 weeks of extra practice. But I truly think, man, that we get 8-9 games. I really do. 9 if we beat Michigan State, 8 if we don't. I believe that, because there's no reason in the world. I don't think we have another letdown. I guess what I'm saying is I don't think we have another Northwestern letdown. I think that we go in the next 4 games and we handle our business like we're supposed to. I think we get those 4 W's, and we go to a solid bowl game, and those kids get rewarded for all the hard work they put in, not only this year, but for the last 3 years. And then we build from there. The other thing too, going forward, man, getting these scholarships back, this team is just learning how to play with this new staff. The new staff is just learning how to coach these kids. I think we've got a heck of a staff, and I think that we've got a ton of talent on this team coming back next year and over the next couple of years. I think there are some phenomenal things on the horizon for us. I think we're going to see some really good Penn State football, and we're going to get back to being very close to where we were before. So I'm excited, man. I think we're in a great position. I'm really, really excited about it all.
Julian, what do you think?
No, I definitely couldn't agree more. I think, after the performance they put out against Ohio State, the confidence is definitely back up. True indeed, the offense had a slow start, being down 17-0, and then, working their way back up. But at least they put it together. And then, there wasn't even adage of Akil Lynch. Even he got the bulk of the carries. So, now there seems to be more options of what to do on offense. As we've reviewed the team throughout the year, we definitely have seen the defense step up pretty much all the games. They needed a little assistance from the offense. So once that offense, which now they've shown us that that effort against Ohio State, it seems like they got some kind of system going on now. So therefore, for the rest of the games, it should be an overall team effort and one that'll be victorious. At least with everybody, like you said, I agree. Till it comes to Michigan State, which is going to be a tough battle, because even in the college football rankings in general, they have them as possibly being the one of the 4 teams at the end for the playoffs. So that's going to be a tough one, period. But now, we have a strong confidence, or at least we can look upon them as giving a A+ game effort overall when it comes to Penn State football. So hopefully they keep that, they carry on what they gave to Ohio State and bring it with them, instead of maybe playing down to competition or anything like that. Just continue to play the football that they know how to play.
Well, I think you're onto something there, both of you guys, and I want to just try to take one at a time here, because we're looking at Maryland. Right now, they're 5 wins and 3 losses. Last week they just got it kicked out of them bad, 52-7. I mean, they are coming off a very, very tough loss. They had it put to them pretty good by Ohio State 2 weeks before that. They did beat Iowa the week as well, and again they played South Florida well, and they didn't lose by much to West Virginia, and West Virginia is playing good football. So you're seeing
so in other words, they've gotten run over the last 2 weeks.
Well, not 2 weeks. They beat Iowa last week. They had it put to them last week, 52-7. So they're hungry for a win, man. I mean, they had it put to them hard. So that they're going through a hard week of practice this week to play for Penn State, and they saw what happened up here, and they're coming here. So I think they're going to be up for this game. They're playing. They have a pretty tough schedule too. They're going to be playing Michigan State, Michigan, and Rutgers to wind out their season. And they played some tough teams already. I mean, Ohio State put it to them. But again, we want to ask the question: did Ohio State maybe think Penn State was not going to be that tough on this past Saturday, and maybe not step up like they should have? I don't know. Did maybe Penn State rise up a little bit more? It could be any combination of this, because again, they lost to West Virginia by 3 points, and West Virginia is playing some serious football right now. So, but again, there's Wisconsin last week. They had to put to them 52-7. So,
well, we can say from in general, and statistically, Penn State is known to rise to the occasion when it comes to the night game. So hopefully, that moment just won't rest with that game, that the players will take that and move that on for the remainder of the season against every team they play. And if they do, it's pretty much guaranteed that at least 4 victories, at least 4.
I hope so. I really hope so. Greg, what do you think?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear.
We're just touching on Maryland here and what to expect, talking about what they've experienced so far this season.
Well, I will say this to you. When they faced the only time this season that they faced a real defense, against Ohio State, you saw what happened. I would put our defense up against anybody in the country, and it's evident because we are top 4 total defense, 1 or 2 rush defense. I put my defense up against anybody, and Maryland has not seen that other than Ohio State. And when they saw it against Ohio State, they got run out of the building. We've got them at home. We've got them at our place. The only thing that concerns me whatsoever, and it's not a matter of winning and losing, it's a matter of us having to work really hard to win the game. It's Skip, you know this to be true. For whatever reason, we have never, it doesn't matter what decade it's been, whether it's we were there in the 80s, 90s, 2000, man, 12 o'clock kickoffs have been notoriously horrible for us.
True.
Notoriously horrible. But at the same time, it's generally, in most cases, 12 o'clock kickoffs on the road. So
right.
That would be the only concern. Maryland has some great athletes. They've got 2 receivers that can go get the ball. But they've got a Gary Nova at quarterback. I've seen them play twice. They've got another Gary Nova. You put pressure on him, he's going to give you the ball. They haven't seen a defense like what we have.
That's very true. That's very true.
The only defense they've seen that like we have is the defense that held them to nothing and gave them 52 points. So I'm not trying to overlook them, but I think we win this game. And if we can't beat Indiana and Illinois based on what they're doing and with the defense that we have this year, we are in trouble anyway. So Temple, same thing. I think if we continue to play like we played Saturday night, we can't play any differently. We can't play any worse. If we play like we did Saturday night, we win all 4 of those games. No one sneaks up on us, and then we have a dogfight against Michigan State.
Well, you're talking about that 12 o'clock curse again, man, because Indiana, they already got the time posted for that one on Big Ten Network. 12 o'clock kickoff away.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, man, that's 12 o'clock, and we're back in Indiana again this year, right? Or are they in our?
No, we're gone. We're there. We're at
we're at Indiana. And you know what happened? You know what they did to us a couple of years ago.
Even last year, they smoked us in Indiana.
Yeah, I'm not overly excited about being on the road.
No, not there. Not for 12 o'clock kickoff, man. It's just you're right. You're right. Hey, well, let's make some picks here quick because our waning moments here, our show, we're winding down out here. Looking at the Big Ten here, we got Illinois at Ohio State.
Ohio State. I'm just JT Barrett. He's on fire. He's just on fire.
Yep. I think we're all on Ohio. And then we got Iowa Northwestern.
Northwestern. I'm gonna go for the upset.
Same. Iowa's been looking kind of suspect. Usually they look like a powerhouse. And this year they've been kind of flippy floppy.
Yep. I think Northwestern as well is going to pull something together there for that one. We got Nebraska Purdue.
Oh, Nebraska Purdue. Hey, fellas. Hey, Purdue is getting better, man. That guy has changed that attitude. Purdue kind of reminds me of Michigan State when D'Antoni took over. He had to change the attitude and the culture, and that guy Hazel has definitely changed the culture and the attitude at Purdue. They're playing, but they can't win that one.
Well, it's at Nebraska, so.
Amir Abdullah, that's all you got to say.
Yeah. Abdullah, he'll probably put up about 800 yards total offense on him.
At least.
Yeah, well, I think we're on board for Nebraska winning that one. And we have Wisconsin at Rutgers. That might be a good game.
I got to go Wisconsin.
I'm taking Wisconsin, man.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a believer in Rutgers. I'm just not. We played a terrible ball game and still won that one at their place. So I'm not gonna put a whole lot of stock in that one.
I agree.
I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, but I think Wisconsin will win that one. And then we have Indiana at Michigan.
Okay, I
think we
have
that one, right?
I'm going. Where is it at, Skip? Where are they playing?
Well, it's the Big House.
I'm taking Indiana. What the heck?
Oh, you're kidding me! Really?
Indiana still has an explosive offense. So I just think that Michigan's not going to move the ball really, and then on defense they'll just get tired.
I think it'll be a close one, but I think Michigan's going to win one at home.
Really?
I think so. I think so. That could be one there. That's pretty much wrapping it up here for our Big Ten on that one, except for our home games. So what do you think about this weekend here?
I think the boys in blue, and I'm taking the boys in blue and 14 points.
I agree. I think honestly, it's either going to be a really close game, like maybe a 21-24 or 21-14 game. But if we play with that energy that we gave Ohio State, I'm giving us at least being up 2 scores.
Yep, I'm going Penn State by 10. I think Penn State by 10. Again, I just think Maryland coming off that loss, they're going to come up here. They're going to be psyched. They want to play. It's a big game for them. I mean, any team that comes here to Penn State, it's a big game. Nobody loves more to come to Penn State and beat us. And, of course, we got to stop that from happening. And I think if we put it all together, Coach Franklin's doing a great job, and I think we're going to win by 10. So look forward to that.
Plus, we'll have that 12th man.
That's right. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been the fastest hour in college football talk radio. On behalf of Julian, Greg Johnson, my name's Skip Bravos. Thank you for joining us. Join us next week here on Lions Live, the only network built by the players, for you, the fans. Thank you for joining us, and have a great week, and enjoy the game next week. We'll see you then. Lord bless. Have a good night.
All right.
This is meteorologist Joe Murgo with your forecast for WC.
Right.
Coming pretty soon.
Yep.
Put him on the regular speaker. I think on the regular speakers now, not my headset.
Okay.
Oh my God. Now I think it'll work. Hey, great job, man. Great job.
Absolutely, man. Good show. Always is, brother. Always is.
Where did it go? You need to turn this one on.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yep. You still have that running. Okay, you still there now?
Yep, I'm here.
Yep, I was cutting you up and the other one down. See, I'm still on all these buttons, man. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to twist knobs and something's gonna keep me what's going on.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It sounds like he's not going to share his secrets with you.
To be honest, the next way down kind of happy when it comes to showing you that stuff. Just so you get down with something.
Hey, Julian said, I'm going to make sure I have job security, brother. I ain't teaching you nothing. I get it.
We'll see her next week. So sign off there online. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.